I've got a package. Actually, I have multiple packages. Cool.
Hello. In this video, you will see me unbox a bunch of things. So last week I ordered a bunch of stuff from Amazon, and when they arrived I thought, hey, wouldn't it be cool to film myself unboxing them? So here you go.
So what do we have here? We have my solder fume extractor, the soldering iron, a multimeter, wires, I think those are wires, and we have a letter from my insurance agency. Let's leave that for last. Ooh, I forgot these. Those are alligator clips. You know, this thing is bigger than I expected it to be. Alright, let's start with this largest item here, the fume extractor. So, instruction manual is the first thing that comes up here. Oh, so this is what makes it so heavy. It's the stand. This must be like the sturdiest stand ever. It's probably made of the heaviest material in the world. This thing weighs like, I don't even know. Ooh. Oh, these are some carbon filters. Ooh. Where's the actual fan? Ah, here's the actual fan. Okay, this is a very large fan. You know, I don't even need the stand. Just put the fan here like that and it works fine. Okay, so your typical desk mount type thing. The one in the diagram looks like a different version from the one that's here. But that's fine. We can figure this out. We're engineers. Yep, that is what I thought. Okay, so now that's one end of this. Now let's figure out how this other end actually attaches to the desk. Oh, found it. There we go. And then this mounts onto the table. Alright, and here's the thing when it's mounted. Now, all we need to do is connect this to power somehow. So I had this arm kind of bend this way so that the unit still sticks onto my desk, but it's close enough to reach that power outlet there. So now it works very well. Let's continue. This should be soldering iron. Warning, do not touch the soldering iron. Good to know. Warning, risk of electric shock. The soldering iron holder with dual safety design protects users from protects users from burning, and it keeps the iron in good position? Desoldering pump. It is used to remove the old waste solder. Pull the head of the pimp up and press the head. I'll figure it out. Basic operations for soldering. Or the way they say it, the operation-related awareness of electronic welding. The soldering come from the other side when the soldering surface heated and the tin solder starts melted. Removing the solder wire and the soldering iron when soldering a part is infiltrated with solder wire solder. You know, reading things like this, it makes me very glad that I paid attention in my SAT grammar. Unscrew the iron screw, unplug the cover. Unplug the cover? Easy to install, 10 seconds. 10 seconds finish. Okay, I think we have read enough of the instructions. Let's see what's inside. So we have the soldering iron. Yeah, it's got a pretty long wire. And over here is your temperature adjustment. And then here are some other soldering tips. Don't know what all these do yet, but I will find out. Well, here's some solder, and you can see it comes in this little tube that has a hole in here. So I guess the idea is that we have the solder come out of the hole, so the rest of it stays inside. If I can open this, okay, there we go. Cool, look at that. Here's the part of the stand. Hello. And here we go. Now we have a stand. Whoop. Here's something cool. There's a pair of tweezers. There's a wire stripper. And our solder pump. Now, what's next? Okay, next up we have this multimeter. This should be very straightforward. I open the box. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, let me get this out and then I'll show you. So apparently, this thing here is a magnet. That's very handy. Probes are here. We got the, yep, that looks like the temperature probe. And then we got our regular old probes. So we're gonna start with these. You can go ahead and take off the, did they screw off? No, you just have to pull. Why do so many of these things involve pulling very hard? I'm not a very strong person. There we go. One more to go. Okay, finally. Whew. Never putting those back on again. Please tell me this is not something that I have to pull again. Oh, cool. Batteries are included, look at that. Let's first try the continuity test. So, if I touch the two probes together, it should beep if it's continuous. There we go. Let's see, there's a diode test. Let me go find a diode. Okay, found a diode. Cool. Works. Okay, yeah, we've verified that this thing works. It's a bit big and bulky, but quite useful. And I'm guessing this is the filament for my 3D printer, which is funny because the 3D printer hasn't even arrived yet. And here it is. It's quite heavy actually. And it's also vacuum sealed, which is interesting. So my fan's been displaying this weird message and I looked it up and apparently the filter needs replacing. I mean, didn't they say that the filter like would last a year or something? This has only been like, what, 6 months? Wait, let me check. Ah, so that makes sense. So it says that the filter would last a year if you use it for 12 hours a day. But this fan's been on for like 24 hours a day, like since I got it. So 6 months seems reasonable. Okay, time to get a new filter. Okay, found a filter. Hopefully arrive soon. Okay, so here it is. Let's try to put this in. I think how much money Dyson makes off of these things. Okay, so I'm gonna take this out into the hallway because I know as soon as I open this casing, dust is gonna go everywhere.
Okay, the other filter has been properly disposed of, and I have wiped down this fan. Now let's put on the new filter. There was so much dust on that other filter. But that's good. That's a good thing. You know why? Because that means that filter has prevented me from inhaling that amount of dust. Filter. Interesting. Look at this. This looks cool. It says put the filter in this thing. So here's the thing, and here's the other thing. There we go. Okay, now let's connect this to power. Okay, it's connected to power. Now let's take the remote and hold down the power button for 6 seconds. There we go. I think the reset is done. Let's see. Yep. Cool. Okay, let's set it back to automatic, and that concludes this journey of replacing the filter of this fan. Oh, you thought we're done with unboxing? Well, here's more unboxing. Okay, let's get started. So as you can see, they actually have this nice little like rigid foam casing things for this printer. I think here's the instruction manual. I think these are some of the vertical holes on the side. This is the assembly for the LCD screen. Okay, so there are 2 lists on here. List 1 are all the larger components, and list 2 are all the screws and hardware. Okay, so I am going to lift this up, and hopefully it will come out. Okay, I'm gonna get this box out of the way to give us a bit more space. And this here is the extruder. Let me just feed it back through the thing so I can see where the wire begins and ends. Here is one of the adjustment wheels that goes underneath the print bed. And this here is another one of the motors. Power supply. There's a little switch here where you can select whether you want 230 volts or 110 volts. And that's where all the hardware is. And then we have the power supply, we have some hardware, and we have the tools. We also have another 2 of the rails, and we have the rods. And don't know what this is, but probably going to be important. Okay, here is all the components. So I don't know what half of those things do yet, but I will once I read the instructions. So let's get to it. Okay, I think that was everything. I think all the wires are connected correctly. It's a nice thing they did here. They had those little labels on the wires so that we know which one to plug where. I think this thing should be ready to go. Ooh, one last thing. I'm going to go back here and change the voltage setting to the North America one. There we go. Now we're ready. Okay, now we're all plugged in. Let's see if this turns on. Yes. So I have manually leveled the bed before this. So okay, all the motors move. That's good. Okay, and now the extruder is coming down. Yes. That works. Okay, now I've just loaded a test print into the thing, and it's heating up, and let's see if it actually prints. Okay, looks like it's printing. I'm gonna go eat breakfast because it's now 5 p.m. So I'll come back later. So that wraps up the various unboxings in this video, and as you can see, I have completely taken over Daniel's desk. It's now my workbench. Anyways, that test print I did actually came out really well, so I have big plans for this printer. You'll probably see some of it in my next video, so stay tuned.